Well, here we go down the streets in Bozeman. Bozeman is the county seat of Gallatin County with a population of 53,293 as of the 2020 census. It's a county with a population of 118,960,000 people. Let's take a look at some of the residents around Bozeman. This is the Babcock Davis addition. And on this street, these are older homes. But there was one that sold for, it was 550 square feet, built in 1915 and sold for $875,000. So that gives you an idea what's happening in Bozeman. This is down in the Babcock Davis subdivision. And we'll just drive through here and see some of the places. Now we're coming up into an area that is got a ton of, these are commercial condos right after the older part of the city. It's good looking stuff. See what we see. Old green elevator in the back. Mismo, that's an art gallery right here in Bozeman. Very artistic. Keep rolling down here and then we'll get back to Main Street. See what's happening in Bozeman. See the mountains in the background? It's beautiful. Old depot there near the railroad tracks. And this is kind of an industrial area. And we're going to go up here and move into some very interesting regentrified area of Bozeman. And we can see ahead of us some condos. And they're quite expensive anymore. Bozeman has really exploded. I'm going to talk more about that. We're going to go around the corner and get into what we would expect to be residential area. Kind of a commercial area in here, but that second house has been assessed by the state of Montana at $1.25 million, 1,700 square feet on 2 levels. As we roll through this particular area, you know, Bozeman was actually the fastest growing micro-metropolitan statistical area in the United States in 2018, 2019, and 2020, as well as the second largest of all of Montana's statistical areas. You know, today Bozeman is estimated to be at just under 60,000 souls. It can surpass Great Falls as the third largest town in Montana by 2025. And as the case of many Montana towns, Lewis and Clark went through this area in 1806. It was Clark and his group of the Corps of Discovery who camped here in July of 1806 at the mouth of Kelly Canyon, about 3 miles from the current town of Bozeman. John Bozeman, along with a partner named John Jacob, opened the Bozeman Trail in 1863. It was a new northern trail off the Oregon Trail leading to the mining town of Virginia City. And it went right through the Gallatin Valley and right through what is today Bozeman. John Bozeman, Daniel Rouse, and William Beale plotted the town in August of 1864. And we're just going to, and there's a sign going to Bridger Bowl. Bridger Bowl is one of the great, just 16 miles away, great ski area. Bridger Bowl was founded in 1955. So they've been skiing in Bozeman for quite a while. And then when we get down here, we're going to see off in the distance the sign for the Baxter Hotel. Now, the Baxter Hotel in Bozeman is really a landmark in history reflecting the vision and collaboration of local community. It was completed in 1929. It was designed by renowned Bozeman architect Fred Wilson in an Art Deco style. The project was led by Eugene Graff and a group of local businessmen who raised funds with significant contributions from the community members, including George Baxter, a Gallatin County rancher for whom the hotel is named. The Baxter quickly became a centerpiece of Bozeman life, hosting grand events and symbolizing the city's aspirations during a challenging economic time, as it was construction was done during the Great Depression. Today, the upper levels of the Baxter have been transformed into residential apartments, while the lower levels house popular businesses like Ted's Montana Grill. That's of Ted Turner. As we get down here on the left, that's the Catholic Church of the Rosary. And right next to it is a building that looks old. It was actually built in 2015. It's called the Wilson Condos. And right next to it is the old Wilson School. Well, the old Wilson School was originally known as the Gallatin County High School. It was constructed in 1902 and renamed the Wilson School in 1956 in honor of Fred Wilson, who actually was the guy behind the Baxter Hotel. The prolific Bozeman architect was responsible for a lot of notable buildings around the area. Over the years, the building serves various education purposes, including used as a middle school before being retired. Today, the Wilson School has been transformed into the Wilson Residences, a collection of high-end residential units, and its adaptive reuse project preserved the history character of the building while incorporating contemporary urban living features such as modern interiors and underground parking. Now, this is the Fairview edition, and in this area, interestingly enough, there was a home recently sold, 3,610 square feet, built in 1917, and it sold for $2.3 million. So that is the kind of money that's happening in this block. Let us know in the comments what you think about the prices that we talked about in Bozeman. We'd like to get some feedback from our viewer. And this is also Fairview. And we'll get out into the outside of Bozeman here in a little bit. But please let us know what you think. Write us a comment down below. The incredible growth in Bozeman, there's also, of course, been a huge demand for things like new schools. But there have been schools in these neighborhoods for quite a while. And right over here is an elementary school. And there are actually 2 high schools in Bozeman, 2 middle schools, Chief Joseph and Sacagawea, and 8 elementary schools. And this is just one of the elementary schools there in Bozeman, right in the middle of some of the oldest parts of town. This part of Bozeman was really developed during the early 1900s. And you can see it in the architecture. That house was built in the early 1900s. And when we get down here a little ways, I want to show you just an extraordinary home that was built in 1907. It has right there, 345 square feet above grade. It has a full 1,376 square foot basement. And it is assessed at a value of $1 million. And there are a lot of homes here that have values like that. Well, let's just take a drive through the neighborhood and see what we see, because there's so many beautiful homes and they're all very similar. It reminds me very much of the Mansion District in Helena, and you can see that video on our channel as well. So as we go through this area, take a look at these beautiful homes and imagine yourself living in them. In the middle of these older neighborhoods, there's infill, much more modern homes right next to something that was built in 1917. And let's just see what the neighborhood looks like. Well, condominiums are quite popular in Bozeman, and you can find condos below $500,000. There, however, was one that was over on 3rd Avenue. It was built in 2022. It was 2,580 square feet, and it sold for $2.350 million. $2.350 million. Quite extraordinary. Incredible growth in Bozeman. There's been some serious issues relative to housing. This is Bridger Heights Apartments, and we're going to talk a little bit about what happens with people who need to rent in Bozeman and where they're working and where they're living. It's going to be quite interesting. So this is the Gallatin County Fairgrounds, and a lot of great things happen here, including the fair, but also rodeos, the Bozeman Ice Dogs hockey team, all right here at the fairgrounds in Bozeman. And so there's a lot of activity going on, and you can have tons of fun pretty much year-round here. Tremendous development in Bozeman, and these are new commercial areas that are on the northwest part of town, and you can see that they're just popping up out of really very fertile agricultural ground, and it can be a little bit controversial. This is the Bozeman Public Safety Center. So you have your fire department, your police, ambulance, all housed in this very modern and efficient building here in Bozeman. And wherever you go, you've got condominiums left and right, and a lot of them look the same. There's so much new building going on, and it's a fascinating thing that's happening with the market in Bozeman right now. It has grown so fast that it's kind of hit a little bit of a plateau. Now we go by Van Winkle Field, which is originally with the Bozeman High School, but it's shared now with Gallatin High. There's two high schools there. Bozeman High has 1,280 students in grades 9 through 12 with a student-teacher ratio of 16:1. And Gallatin High has 1,351 students with a student-to-teacher ratio of 17:1. Bozeman is the home to Montana State University. And Montana State University was established in 1893 as the state's land-grant college. Then it was named the Agricultural College of the state of Montana. By the 1920s, the institution was known as Montana State College, and in 1965, it became Montana State University, or as we like to call it, MSU. This is the Breeden Fieldhouse, and it's a great place to watch basketball, but a better place to watch rodeo. And there are some incredible rodeo folks at Bozeman. While we were in Bozeman, it was the Cat Grizz game, which is called the Brawl of the Wild. It's a rivalry that's taken place since 1897. And they've played against each other 123 times, and it's always a big turnout. Look at the size of the crowd there in the stadium in Bozeman. It switches over to Missoula every other year, but what a crowd and what a time. If you ever get a chance, take in a tailgate party at a Cat Grizz game. So out here in Bozeman, there's just so many new developments. It's quite extraordinary. You're just driving along out where it used to be just open country, and you can see just sprawl after sprawl. Is this good or bad? I don't know. Leave a note in the comments and tell me what you think about what's happening in Bozeman, particularly if you're in the Bozeman area. Let me know what you think about this new architecture that is predominant in Bozeman. Is this something that you would care to live in? Let us know. The housing market in Bozeman currently shows a median sold home price of approximately $745,900 as of mid-2024, reflecting a decrease from previous years. The median listing price is slightly higher at $869,500, with the average listing price per square foot at $423 a square foot. So Bozeman really is considered right now, and it's always changing, a buyer's market with homes generally selling below ask price, but that's happened since post-pandemic. So get a hold of us. Everything that you need to have in order to get a hold of us is in the description below. We have offices all over the state of Montana. We really want to be a resource for you. So reach out to our offices, reach out to us, and we can help you. Well, Bozeman's certainly very interesting in terms of the real estate world. It's turned out to be extremely expensive because a lot of people are looking to go there. It's the standard supply-demand situation. For example, in this particular neighborhood that we're coming up on right now, this is a house that was built in here in 2018. It's a 3-bed, 3-bath, 4,416 square feet. It recently sold for $2 million. On the other hand, there are people who are working in the Bozeman area or the greater area, whether it's down at Yellowstone Club or perhaps at Big Sky. They can't afford rent, so they live in these RVs there in Bozeman. So it's a bit tragic, but it's what's happening in the Bozeman market, and there are people who would like to live in Bozeman. And it's a higher altitude. It's got some snow, as you can clearly see here. Wonderful neighborhoods, lots of things to do, skiing, outdoor activities, mountains around. In fact, let's go through the mountains. Well, we talked about Bridger Bowl, of course, but Bozeman is located at 4,820 feet elevation. You've got the Bridger Mountains to the northeast, the Tobacco Root Mountains to the southwest, the Big Belt Mountains and the Horseshoe Hills northwest, Halite Peaks of the Gallatin Range to the south, and the Spanish Peaks of the Madison Range to the south and southwest. And you're just 93 miles north of Yellowstone. So there is plenty of mountain activity in Bozeman. Well, we hope you enjoyed this video on Bozeman. Please tap that logo down on the lower right hand side of your screen and subscribe to the channel so that you are advised whenever we come out with a new video on communities in Montana. Until next time, thanks for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you again.